we'll start off today on the Purchasing tab. Purchasing tab lets us set a default vendor. If you notice, wherever there's an eye in a circle, that means you can zoom in to get more detail about that particular item. In this case, you can drill down into the vendor. Purchase code is a free-form field. The next standard cost and the last standard cost are stored here with their dates. The buyer, product manager, end of life are all pretty straightforward. The freight add code, what this is for is when you receive something, you can capitalize your freight. There are two ways of handling freight. You can either capitalize it or expense it. When you expense it, your inbound freight just gets charged to a freight account in the general ledger, and it shows up as a cost of sale expense. If you capitalize it, that means you're including the freight in the cost of the goods. If you buy something for $100 and it costs you $10 in freight to bring it in-house, your choice is to store it or keep it in your inventory at $100 cost and expense the freight, or $110 cost, and that's called capitalizing the freight. What you charge to freight capitalization during receiving can be set here. You can say, I want to add freight for this item either as a dollar amount or a percentage. And then here you put the add rate. So in this case, whenever something comes in, if you buy it for $100, it will add 10% of that as a freight cost and carry an inventory at $110. And then you'll have to handle the expensing of the AP invoice accordingly, and that's in a separate discussion. Over here on replenishment, we have a sole source flag. The sole source flag indicates, if checked, that this item is only available from the vendor that we have on screen here. The primary effect of this is that when you are doing vendor ships and an item is a sole source item, the system will not only create a requisition for that item to vendor ship it, but will also immediately create a purchase order because it knows that you can only buy the item from this one vendor. Purchasing lead days is how long it takes for you to get the goods after you've ordered it. And then some historical information, last PO, due date of the next PO, and last PO cost. We have additional specs. You can store the dimensions of the item, length, width, height, shipping weight, cubic size, and how many cartons this item comes in. For example, if you're shipping a desk, the desk may come in 3 cartons. So this tells the system when it's time to print address labels, it will print 3 address labels instead of 1. If you have small stuff, you can use a fractional number in the carton. For example, if 4 of a unit will fit into a normal packing box, you can have a carton size of 0.25, and that'll tell the system that it should print 1 address label for every 4 of the units sold. Then box size. Item tells you that you're using the dimensions of the item for the box. Default box size just means your house box. Then some standard boxes and miscellaneous box size will be prompted at shipping time. One of the things that you have to decide on a company-wide basis is whether the dimensions are the package dimensions or the raw dimensions of the unit. In most cases, the dimensions will be the package dimensions so that it can be used for freight rating. and you'll have to put the raw dimensions of the item into the extended description. The NMFC is the National Materials Freight Code. This indicates what freight code it is. For those who aren't up on freight codes, the freight code basically is an industry standard to tell you how dense something is. Because trucking companies, not package system companies like UPS and FedEx, but less than truckload, LTL, they will rate something based on the density, because in most cases, the trucks will run out of cubic space before they run out of weight. So something, and I don't know the freight codes by heart, but ping pong balls might be a freight code of 100, and bricks might be a freight code of 200. That tells the carrier that in the case of ping pong balls, you're shipping something that's extremely light and very voluminous. And in the case of bricks, you're shipping something that's very heavy and very compact, so they know how to rate you. Then the packing field lets you define packing stuff. Freight class is an extension of NMFC, and commodity code is also used with that. So those three fields are used when you're dealing with LTL trucking. Otherwise, with parcel stuff, you don't have to worry about it.